So good morning. So please let me introduce myself to some and say hello to others. I am Deborah Fitz Sanders, the Executive Director here with Childs Park Branch, one of 4 of our association branches, our Jim and Heather Gills, our Bardmore and Harbordale Wise, and our 2 preschool academies, our Windsor Prep Academy, and our newest family member, the Spear Preschool Academy, yay, formerly Immaculate Conception, yay. I went to Immaculate Conception. How many did we have? We had Happy Worker, Scarlet, Immaculate Conception. So that was one of our pillars in the community, so I'm really proud of that. And also, on behalf of our President and CEO, David W. Jesse, who would have loved to have been here today, but is traveling on association business, I bring greetings to you. And thank you so much for coming. I would also be remiss to have guests in my home without introducing my wife family. I know we have Miss Shannon Yeager, who is here. I thought I saw walk in. Would you please stand, Shannon? Do I have anyone else from the Y here? Well, we're here, Shannon. That's all that matters. Also, could I please have all of the core team members to please stand. 2020 core team members. Now can I have all of the awesome members of the CAC, our Citizens Advisory Council for the CRA, to please stand. And those of the 2020 task force that are not core team members, please stand. This should be a you guys coming up. Thank you. Now at this time, I would also like to recognize many of those who toed the line for the mission of the 2020 plan for many years, as well as those who thought it not robbery to listen, learn, and choose to work through the kinks and work with each other for the overall good of our community. We would like to thank and recognize Commissioner Kenneth P. Welch, Director of Urban Affairs, Nikki Gaskin Capehart, Councilman Carl Nurse, Ms. Gypsy C. Gallardo, Ms. Gwendolyn Reese, Mr. Carl Lavender, Pastor Lewis Murphy Sr., Mr. Emery Ivory of the United Way, and Mr. Vito Sheely from Congresswoman Castor's office. We want to thank you and properly recognize you at this time. Now, as a special recognition, is anyone from the Allegheny Franciscan Foundation here? Well, when you see Cherie Wright Jones or anyone from Allegheny, please thank them who committed to help us meet that challenge of reducing poverty by 30% in our community through their financial support of the 2020 task force. So please thank them, anyone when you see from Allegheny, for their support of the program. I'm going to ask now Mr. Harvey and now, I was told to give a special shout out to Mr. Tyrone Clinton with the Focus 2.0. Would you please come forward? What we would like to do is, because of the youth employment of the fall cohorts, we actually worked an initiative, and many of you have heard about our 200 in 2015, where we wanted to grow the number of youth employment over the summer as well as the fall. And there are 4 organizations that we would like to recognize for helping us meet that number at 196, giving our children something to do, giving them something to put in their pockets, because I say it all the time, they broke my heart when they took away Cedar. Because Cedar bought my first gold chain, bought my first pair of Sassoon jeans. Yes, indeed. For those of you that remember Soul Train in Central Plaza, so I felt good cashing my own little checks made out to Deborah Reese. So we're trying to bring that independence back and trying to help some of our young people. So we would like to recognize these organizations with our Most Valuable Player Awards, which meant that they went above and beyond for our fall cohort. So again, is anyone here from Mount Zion to accept for the Focus 2.0 group?
I'll take it.
Thank you.
Where's Pastor?
St. Pete College, also with the Focus 2.0 intern experience. Is anyone here from St. Petersburg College? And as she makes her way, can we have someone from Pinellas Opportunity Council? I thought I saw Mrs. Brooks for the Fall Youth Employment Training piece. And I will gladly accept on behalf of the Childs Park YMCA and our 2015 Youth Employment Summit. Thank you. So moving on with the program. For those of you who are not familiar with the 2020 plan, what you're seeing today is a gathering of friends and partners in a vision to reduce poverty by 30% in South St. Petersburg by the year 2020. And to do so by helping 2,400 fathers and mothers in poverty to raise their families above the poverty line. This vision is nearly 9 years old, but the actual plan to achieve that goal is now just 1 year and 2 months old. We are here today to reflect back briefly on what was accomplished in year 1 of that vision. And as you will see, by the whole host of partners, but equally important, to look forward and have community leaders and activist feedback about what the priorities should be for this year and beyond. To that, in your folders, you have 2 documents. Did everyone get a folder? That you can peruse at your spare time. One is the impact report from 2020's first year in action, and the other is a proposed list of 10 priorities for 2020 and 2016. Success comes in many forms and can be achieved through several paths. However, all involved must be traveling in the same direction.
Amen.
So with that being said, I would now like to introduce our city's very own griot, a captivating repository of oral tradition, historian, storyteller, and an original contributor to the 2020 plan, Ms. Gwendolyn Reese. Oh, that's you. That is you. I love Ms. Reese.
Mama saying good morning.
Good morning.
I'm sitting and I said, okay, I think they asked me to do this, but that's not who she's describing. So what's going on? Wow, that actually blew me away. This is an incredible morning for me. This is reminiscent of 2 years ago when we were starting. Remember Carl and some others, and we were at Mount Zion, and I think we planned to have the meeting in one part of the church, and people never stopped coming in the building, and we had to move it to the sanctuary. That's when we knew that we were on the right track, because we had so many people from all parts of the community. So it is really an honor for me to be asked today. You know, I haven't been with you physically in a long, long time. But you have been in my prayers. I've been praying for the success of this initiative, groundbreaking initiative. I've been praying for integrity. I've been praying for transparency. I've been praying for accountability of all the people involved, to all the people in this community. And I will continue to hold this project up in those very same prayers. So it's my pleasure to review with you the birth and then the milestones from 2006 until today. I can't believe it's been 10 years. Can you believe that? 10 years. From its inception, this was a process that was intentional yet spontaneous. It was focused yet flexible, and always, always, always inclusive. This was a call for a new collective approach, an approach that welcomed and still welcomes all people, and was respectful and is still respectful of all voices. So we are going to look at, very briefly, a pictorial timeline, and I'm going to just fill in a little bit of the information for you. So, the 2020 plan began in 2006, 10 years ago. It was in the spring of 2006. 3 young men were killed, and that was sort of reminiscent of what had happened 10 years before when Tyron Lewis had been killed, and the community erupted in frustration and anger. And misunderstanding and bewilderment about why these kinds of actions were still taking place in our community in 1996. I'm trying to look up there and look down here, and I'm not sure how that's going to work because I don't have a good view of that. Let's see how far this cord will go. So in 2006, community leaders, and you know when we say community leaders, let me tell you that when this process started, it was intentional that we would not be gatekeepers. That was a very intentional part of our discussion. We define gatekeeper in every way, because you know it has a positive slant to it, it has a negative slant to it, and we decided that that was not the role that we wanted to play in this process in our community. So when we say leaders, we are talking about you. We're not talking about necessarily elected officials or those people other people tend to call our leaders, because we know that we are the ones. We are the leaders. And together, there is nothing we cannot accomplish. So when we say we call community leaders together, that's all those people you see down there at Mount Zion Progressive Baptist Church that particular day. It was led by Mount Zion and backed by a dozen pastors, and a rally was held that called forth over 1,000 people. We also formed an organization called PACT, the People Advocating Change Together. It was sort of a spinoff of COQUEBS when they realized that there was they could not advocate because they were involved in the court case. So we needed an arm to advocate, and that became the People Advocating Change Together. And I want to acknowledge those members: Sharon Joy Kleisch, Winnie Foster, Dr. Marie Nelson, Gregory Johnson, Carrie Hepburn, Carol McNamee, Jan Fraser Smith, Dr. Eugene Gibbons, Gypsy Gallardo, Gwendolyn Reese, and Carl Lavender. So the PACT was born. Did I leave out anyone? Okay, so the PACT was born. People advocating change together. That was our purpose, bringing our people together. And so we had a community responding to a call. A community listens, a community speaks and a community begins a plan for action. Look at the voices across ethnicity, across gender, across age, across religion, across economics, across education. There was not a single part of our community that was not represented there and that is not still represented in this process. May I have the next slide? 2007 to 2008, there were a lot of things were accomplished. We had a collective outreach plan. I remember that day at Campbell Park Elementary, there all day we stuffed bags. People went out all over the community to more than 3,000 homes, helping people know about the resources available to them in our community. We elevated young people's voices. When I saw those t-shirts and saw those young people, my heart skipped a beat. And they were advocating for their own education because the district was poised to do something that would resegregate our schools. And then we had the collective fundraising where the PAC led the 50-50 challenge to raise private funds to increase youth employment. All along the way, we had assistance, and many of you are sitting right here today, and I thank you for that. Next slide. When we talk about collectivism, we're talking about it in every aspect of our lives, both as it relates to the faith community. When the 7x7 was launched, I was there that day at Gibbs High School at the football field. Next slide, please. All the way through the Slam and Jam, which was a mega party, and it was once again agencies coming together to connect people to resources that they needed. Next slide, please. Collective advocacy, we launched Agenda 2010. Many people in this room and some not in this room met at the Sanderson Center, thanks to Lunel Britt just opening up those doors, as she always does. To anyone in this community who needs space, who needs assistance. Where are you, Lunel? I saw you somewhere. Just raise your hand. Let's give her a round of applause. Talk about somebody who's about community, who doesn't just talk the talk but walk the walk. That's Lunel Britt. And so we met there